Wouldn't this be a great time to stop demanding scraps? Wouldn't this be a great time just as the left, and even if I'm talking to any real Democrats here, which if any real Democrats or anyone listens to my shit, I'd be surprised. But if a Democrat did, I'd be really surprised. But wouldn't you guys think that the Democrats would stop, particularly the ones that are supporting AOC and Bernie Sanders and all this, all these, being all these press conferences and being at these rallies? Don't you think you should start asking for more than scraps? Please, Donald and Ewan, please give us a little bit of Social Security back. Please. That's what it sounds like to me. Please reinstate the $1,700 a month that my grandmother gets, and because she never made over minimum wage in her life, because for whatever fucking reason. Please keep those senior citizens in poverty. Please keep the disabled in poverty. Please just restore that little bit for us. Those little tiny crumbs that fall off the table. I know people are dependent on these social programs. I get it. I know people that are. I know people that collect them. I love these social programs. In fact, if I ran the government, I would have ossified these into law where you couldn't touch Social Security, and then there was an increase of 10% every year. I don't care, whatever the fuck formula you want to come up with. But begging that you return everything to the status quo? What are you doing? The Democratic Party desperately needs the left. They need the left so fucking bad that you actually could ask for something this time. You could say, you know what, if we're going to support you guys again, we want a Medicare for all for vote. We want an increase in Social Security. We want an increase in funding for, and lower the age of Medicare eligibility. Let's start there. Let's lower the age to 50 and start funding and raise taxes to fund Medicare. Let's stop asking for nothing and just what we used to have. Please, sir, give me another. Can I get another bowl of porridge? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. This is the opportunity. The left just wants to go back to the way it was during the Biden administration, with inflation at 3% every month, because he did sign that Social Security thing at the end of he did sign the Social Security Act that will increase Social Security benefits for some people, and they'll get a maximum of $5,000 a month. Now, this depends on how much you paid into Social Security your entire life, on how much you get per month. So this is begging for scraps, for crumbs off of the table of the elite. And they know it. Look, we'll rattle the chain of this here, and we'll rattle the chain over here, and they'll just accept anything else as long as we don't touch their precious Social Security. As long as we don't privatize. We won't privatize any of the stuff that they don't want, but we're going to scare the shit out of them so badly that they'll just beg to go back to fucking November of 2024. Was that such a great time? Were you doing better? Were you doing so well financially that you just want to return it to that time? I know I wasn't. I know I'm still not. Donald Trump's policies are going to go after the most insecure in our society, because that's what they always do. So instead of us just hoping and praying that we get a little more, say, fuck the Democratic Party. Go start on your own. Go do something else. Stop voting. Protest. Start grassroots organizations in your local area. There's tons of ideas. None of this is fucking original. And stop placating Bernie Sanders and AOC. Stop begging them to return. This is your country. You pay the fucking bill. It's your tax dollars. It's your children that are sent to war. Your family members sent to war. It's you. You're in charge, boss. But you've learned helplessness in America. We have a learned helplessness, particularly in minority communities. And now the Democratic Party is now just standing there, running their thumbs through their fucking, through their suspenders, just waiting for, they'll all come crawling back to us, and we won't have to give them a thing. These Democratic voters, we won't have to stop a genocide. We won't have to increase Social Security. We won't have to increase taxes on the rich. We'll just return it to the way it was when the wonderful Joe Biden was president, because these people are so scarred and damaged from Trump and Elon Musk. It has been 3 months January, February, March. That's it. And you have been brought to the left is being brought to its fucking knees and they think they're going to gain a bunch of power because they flipped one state Senate seat that Trump won by 15 points in Pennsylvania. You think that's good? You're all status quo monsters. You're all systemists. And instead of organizing a plan on, you know what, organizing is a lot more difficult. You're like, well, why don't you organize? And it's true. It takes time, money, and it takes effort. And honestly, I don't want to organize to save the country. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in organizing in any way, shape, and form that's going to continue to put Band-Aids on the empire. One that has done so much damage to the people of the world and so much damage to its own. I don't want to beg the Democratic Party to save me. Or please, AOC, please, Bernie, run for president again so the Democratic Party can cuck you, and then you tell everybody to go out and vote for the Democrat. Or hey, please, AOC, give some more histrionic speeches about taxing the rich and eat the rich while you go to the Met Gala with some of the richest and most famous people in the world. Do that again. You are not serious. This is not a serious thing. This is Hollywood for ugly people. You want to cut some budgets? How about you start cutting the salaries of representatives and senators? Cut them down to $50,000 a year. See who runs then. You want to raise some more money? Put taxes on lobbying. There's a thought. If you're going to lobby in Washington, you have to pay a lobby tax. Figure it out. I don't know what percentage. 100%. On any money that you get donated or anything that goes into lobbying, you have to pay 100% tax on. That would stop lobbying pretty fucking quick. Citizens United. The Supreme Court is locked in. They're corporatists. They don't side with Donald Trump on everything, but they side with him on the important things. The really crucial stuff. And and as the left gets on their hands and knees and pulls their underwear down again, while the country is in the streets and at town hall meetings screaming at their representatives, screaming at their Republican conservative representatives. This is not what they wanted. And the left is just hoping we can return to a status quo. And they're sending that message all over the internets and the series of tubes and the World Wide Webs. That's what it's doing. That's all the Democratic Party is good for. They are in power still because it's a duopoly. There's only two of them. And instead of begging for your little tiny slice of the pie, why don't you start asking for a real meal? Why don't you start asking for a real portion? What the fuck do you have to lose? Oh, seriously, what are you losing? You're going to lose what? What are you losing? You're still going to get, the sun will still rise tomorrow. You still will have to clock in for work. You'll still have to work for somebody else. That's the truth. There's nothing to lose by demanding more from one of the two only parties in America that control politics. But you won't, and nobody will. And the media, which slants against Donald Trump because it's the correct thing to do. You can call it media bias or whatever, but it should be done. He's a liar. He's an inveterate liar. He is a habitual liar. He lies and he misinforms and he disinforms. And that little stunt he pulled, he should have been, how a president can endorse a product, how the American business, how Ford and Chevy and Subaru and Toyota and everybody else, how they didn't complain. Mopar, where are you guys? They're promoting a Tesla. They're promoting an American company. A president is endorsing a product. That's grotesque. That's where we are. So stop acting like all of this is good government. Everything's going to get right back on track. Did the Biden administration feel like it was on track? Did the Biden administration feel like it was really, they couldn't even get their message out for what they were actually doing for the American people. And they couldn't do anything for the average American people. They had to do it for all of the fringe groups that or not fringe, but other groups. But he didn't. Joe Biden, I know people that have benefited personally from Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness. I know somebody that got quite a bit of money. Her student loans erased. Good for her. Didn't happen for me. I still have my student loans. And I'm sure you do too. But she works in school and she does and Biden, the path that Biden set forward has saved her tens of thousands of dollars. And it's awesome. And I'm so happy for her. And I wish it would happen for everybody, you know? But Biden couldn't even express that to people. He couldn't get that out. He couldn't, because he was the bad messenger. The president has to be the messenger for his message. That's why presidents are their CEOs. You don't send out your public relations guy to get the message out. Your public relations guy handles public relations, handles how the company looks. They're spokespeople for the White House. They are not the president. They cannot, it doesn't matter who they are, for Trump or Biden or Obama. The president has to be the one in State of the Union speeches and press conferences. He has to be the one to state what he has done for the people. And Biden simply couldn't do that. He was unable to. And people don't like Joe Biden. Like there's this rewriting of history that Joe Biden was a really popular senator. He wasn't. Everybody hated Joe Biden. He was Senator Credit Card. He was Senator AIPAC. The only reason he was ever vice president was because AIPAC didn't trust Barack Obama on Israel. So instead of, here's a thought, if anyone ever hears this, and you won't, which is kind of refreshing, right? Like I'm in the middle of this recording and knowing no one's ever going to hear it, so I can pretty much say anything I want. I can just be like blah, 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 which is pretty much what I'm doing anyway. But instead of just being a bunch of pussy coward fucks and just asking your master to just be whipped lighter, how about go for the fucking gusto? How about you give us tax cuts? How about you raise taxes on the middle class, or on the middle and upper classes? How about you, because they're the ones that have all the big houses and all the roads and all the golf courses and all the fucking land. How about you raise their fucking property taxes instead of working class people? That's local, I know, but nevertheless, watching Democrats yet again beg two ineffective fucking political leaders, and now they're popular again because Trump is so vile. How do you think Trump got here? I mean, voter suppression, yes, absolute. But you also have a message. And he comes out, and people are miserable. They want change. They want something different. And when these elections are becoming every election is becoming about the economy and change. And elections are pretty much a fucking farce anyway. Presidential elections, they're a fucking dog and pony show. There's nothing, it's quite pointless to fucking have elections at this stage in our fucking progression as human beings. One side or the other, crunchy or fucking smooth. I mean, Jesus fuck. Like, are we children? We get a binary choice. No other industrialized country with any sort of power would ever approach anything like that. They'd be embarrassed to. We only have two choices for president. I mean, other than, dictatorships. Oh, anyway, thank you for listening. And please, if you're a leftist or a Democrat, ask for the fucking moon. Shoot for the stars. Worst case scenario, you hit the roof. Thanks for listening.